Everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at Grok and compare it against Perplexity and see which particular option is a better one for you. Now, a big thing to keep in mind is that technically speaking, these two are very interesting. They're both AI tools, AI assistant kind of applications. But what's really interesting is that they both have a pretty big Twitter or X following. Grok is built inside of X. But with Perplexity, there's also a pretty big arm of users who use Perplexity and ask Perplexity on X questions. So it is kind of interesting. So you have that type of capacity and that type of capability there. Now, what I will definitely tell you for the most part is if you're about to go through and, use one, it really depends on which one, what platform you're using. I think Grok is probably, because it's already built inside of X, that one might be just the easier one to kind of use. But at the same time, I kind of do think that with Ask Perplexity or just Perplexity in general, this is still also a very, very decent option as well. So let's take a look at it throughout this whole entire video. First things first, when you look at the outside, these both basically give you applications that you can download, and they both give you X or other ways of kind of connecting to these two types of models. So I think that's also something super important to keep in mind, because you're going to be able to go through and pick up these types of models from that side and get like a pretty good experience, I would say, from that particular side. So when you look at it from that side, that in and of itself is an important thing to keep in mind. Now with Grok, this thing, one of the biggest pros is that it has real-time data access, which is really cool. So you can go through and get real-time data, contextual understanding, adaptive learning, and it's fast, right? It is a very fast AI assistant. It puts speed in, kind of its highest thing. With Perplexity, it's basically citation-backed responses. So it's a pretty high-end type of situation there. The UI can look a little bit cleaner. It has a lot of research capabilities, and the model is fairly flexible. So it does include GPT-4. If you want to go ahead and use GPT-4, you do have, some capability like that there to have that type of capability. So that is kind of something super important to keep in mind there from that side as well. Again, not the biggest deal in the world, but it is a really nice thing to keep in mind there. So from that side, that is kind of an advantage. Now, there are some cons between both as well, which is always something super important to keep in mind here. So for starters, if you're looking at both, you will have to remember that with Grok, this type of application, or this type of, platform, there's a bit of content moderation going on. It's, platform dependent. It's primarily, used through X. So that might be one thing to kind of keep in mind there as well. And it's pretty much, there's not as much transparency with the data as maybe some other platforms. With Perplexity, one of the cons is that it has basically source linking. It'll link to a general homepage of some sort of, website or some sort of platform, rather than linking to an actual other area, aka it won't actually link to a thing that you wanted to, like the actual page of some sort. So that could be somewhat of an annoying thing right there as well. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but it can be one of those other things you might run into. Also, the performance of Perplexity isn't the best either in some cases, so that can also be kind of a downside depending on who you are. You might notice that particular experience and the performance really isn't as great as you want it to be. But those are kind of what you'd expect between AI assistants and how they would kind of compare. Between both, I've probably found myself using Grok more than Perplexity. With, Grok, you have free options of using it. You have free options of using both. But I probably will say Grok is just an easier one to use. But Perplexity is a very nice option as well. And it really just depends on which one you actually prefer. I like Grok because you can ask things, to it. It's a pretty fast type of, interface. Perplexity I like because it is a really nice, if you're looking at more so for a research tool, Perplexity does a really good job at kind of giving, kind of answering the questions that you might have. So that's kind of how I see these tools kind of comparing. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.